Hey guys, welcome back. Better Than a Let's Play episode 30. 30. I'm Enigmius, and today we're finishing off the primary structure of the Testificate turbine. I did what I like to do with all these builds. I just let it sit for a little while so that I could, let the creative juices kind of flow and make sure that whatever decisions I made, either to leave something or change it, that I was going to be happy with it, or as happy as I could be before having actually done it. One of the ideas that I came up with is that the whole thing would look a little bit more interesting if we could make it look like these things down the middle of that cylinder are actually fan blades of some sort, and you could see just the hopping, the monsters and the hopping all over the damn place down there. It's an awful place to be. Really, it doesn't seem to matter what I change. It's always crawling with everything. The easiest way that I could think of to make this thing look like it was actually a turbine was to put a twist on the fan blades. It is very, very difficult for the diagonal parts. You can see the very first sort of fan element that you see moving down towards the back of the turbine is that X-shaped guy. Not very easy to make him look like he's tilted. So the diagonal pieces will be like support members, like struts or something that are holding up the drive shaft that the other fans aren't going to rotate on. You know how it is. Sometimes we're using our imaginations here, for Christ's sake. Now, the other pieces, the plus-shaped pieces, they could, with the aid of a little bit of microblocks, be twisted to look like they were actually functioning fan blades, that they're actually capable of moving air or water or lava or whatever the hell these testificates thought they were going to be moving with this thing. But one of the first things that I wanted to do is I wanted to make them stand out a little bit as being different from the rest of the structure. So we changed the cobblestone that they were built out of into regular stone, because if you were building a prop for an airplane or a fan blade or something, you wouldn't make it out of bricks or stones glued together. You would want it made out of a solid material. So that's what we did. We started changing them over from cobblestone to stone. And then each of these blades, even the diagonal members, they're 3 blocks wide. They're 3 blocks deep, basically. So in order to make them look like they're twisted, we left this center block alone. Just don't need to change anything. And then the other two, the outer ones, we switched for half slabs. So if you imagine this center block strip running the length of a blade, and then on the back row we would have a half slab on the top, so that it looks like, if you look at it from underneath, there's a little bit of a gap, and then on the front you have the half slab on the bottom. That starts making it look like it's tilted, and then we go along and we finish it off with half slabs so that it looks like it's a solid block that's now twisted. And it does a reasonable job. There's more detail that we could, manage to fit in there if we were so inclined, using different sizes of microblocks and positions and things of that nature. But for this, I figured we could just get away with solid blocks. Now, I'd already kind of filled in the sides down the left side, you may have already noticed, so that you can't see down the outer sides of the cylinder. And then this side was kind of tricky because it was a very large area that we had to kind of figure out how we wanted to fill in. So I decided I would start with just getting some, since I still had all this smooth stone from changing the blades over, started by getting just some smooth stone walls in so that everything is covered. And then once we kind of get them into place and looking a little bit more natural than just, straight walls up and down like they are now, we can get some of the hardened dirt and kind of dress it up a little bit so that it matches the environment around it. And that kind of took care of most of it. I have to say I was pretty pleased with the way that it turned out. You can see already it still looks kind of manufactured, but it's definitely a lot better than if we had just done a straight wall like we're getting down the sides now. And then it was also important to fill in the underside as well, because it doesn't really seem like a big deal now. The only place that you'd be able to see it is from underneath, and we are going to have 2, probably 3 more layers of stuff underneath the turbine. So we filled that in with just cobblestone. I didn't really care so much. But you can see when we put the hardened dirt there, it doesn't take long before it starts looking like this is actually natural rock that was occurring out in the wilderness before we came along and dug it all out with a quarry, because that's kind of what we did. Didn't really take long. When you think about it, to fill in something like this and make it look natural is actually quite often a hell of a lot easier than making it look man-made, because you don't have to make anything uniform. You just start blopping stuff wherever it looks like it might fit before you know it, it's done. So now we're in pretty good shape. All that's left to do for the general structure here is, first of all, torches, because the monsters, I have to say, the monsters are just driving me nuts. It's the skeletons. I've said this before, whenever I'm building something, creepers, zombies, spiders, don't care. It's the skeletons who shoot at me while I'm flying around trying to place blocks in specific locations. They just make a mess of the whole thing. And then to get at the skeletons, you gotta blow up the guys. And then there's the creepers, and they're knocking you around. It's a pain in the ass, really, is what it is. But we're in good shape. I mean, realistically, the main details that I want to add at this point, heading towards the end of this video, we'll have one more video. I want to smooth out the insides of the cylinder so that it doesn't look quite so blocky. And that won't take much by way of design. It's just a large area that we have to cover, so yay time lapse. And then I want to try something on the front side of the turbine to make it look like there's some sort of mesh there. And I've already got an idea in mind, but I haven't had a chance to start messing around with it to see if it'll work. And that's also going to be kind of a time-consuming thing, so once again, yay time lapse. And both of those things are things that we'll have done in the next episode, and then we can move on down and do the last lower layers. I was actually also thinking of getting the upper two layers, the penthouse and the layer below, set up so that we can start moving in testificates right away and just let them start breeding now. And then we can worry about what's going to happen to them once they're up there later on. But it seemed like it would be a good idea, just because if we just keep building and building and building, eventually it starts to seem overwhelming. But if we can get them, moved in and making babbies, as many as possible, then we can start thinking about clever ways to get them to the lower levels where they can hopefully continue to make babbies. And before you know it, the place will be teeming with testificates, and maybe the turbine is just meant to get the testificates out of the way so they can make more testificates. Who knows? Regardless, that's as far as we're going to get today. So by all means, leave your comments and feedback below the video. If you want to be notified when I add the next video, you can subscribe to my channel. You can follow me on the Twitters. You can follow me on Google+, at Enigmius1 or plus Enigmius1, respectively. And I will be hard at work on this guy so that we can get this guy done, and then we can move on to a new mod pack. It'll be very exciting. Also, leave your vote, Monster or Hexit. We're already kind of almost unanimous in one direction, but I'm not going to skew your voting by telling you what direction that is. But by all means, leave your thoughts. Thanks for watching, guys, and take care.